All right, welcome back. We are now breaking down the book of Judges. We broke down the book of Matthew before, so go check that out if you're interested. But we're doing Judges this time. So before we get too far into it, we got four things we got to talk about. One, follow along with your own Bible. Depending on your Bible version, it might say something completely different. It's also important to just follow along, making sure we're reading properly out of the Bible. Follow along, make sure we're not lying to you, which we're not, but it's always important to know that. Two, notes will be in the description down below. So what we're reading, the notes we have, that's available to you, will be in the description below. Three, if we miss anything, put in the comments down below. We want this to be a place where information can gather and be collected. So put it down there. Fourth thing is I'm going to go ahead and apologize on my behalf. It's probably going to butcher half these names. They're old Hebrew names, so I'm definitely going to butcher them. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how good you'll do on them, but just sorry in advance for that. But that being said, before we get into Judges chapter 1, we got to go to the intro of Judges. So what's going on? What's it about? So the first thing you realize about Judges is who wrote the book of Judges. There is no author named in the book of Judges. Again, you look at later New Testament letters, Paul addresses that he wrote this. There's no such indication. There's no such, I wrote this in Judges. Based on Jewish tradition, some believe Samuel might have written it, based on the Talmud, the central text of Rabbinic Judaism, and the primary source of Jewish religious laws, ethic, customs, and traditions. So we also know from Deuteronomy 18:22, I believe, a prophet had to have been the one to write the scripture. So that's why we have the books of the Bible we do. As a prophet, apostle, someone that was walking and talking with God. So Samuel being a prophet of the Lord, good chance he wrote the book of Judges. Again, at the end of the Judges, you'll see this phrase where there was no king of Israel at the time, or no king in Israel at the time. That also means that there could have been someone that knew that there was going to be kings later in the history of Israel. It's not really what that verse means, but we'll get into that when we get into that. So not many could also read or write at that time. Samuel being a prophet also shows that God was with him. So kind of just really heavily imply that Samuel wrote it. We're not 100% sure who did, though. Let's continue down.
So, Judges, it's called the Book of Judges. These judges that are in this book are not what you think of as a judge today. It's not some dude in a black robe and a powdered wig sitting behind a wooden desk weighing out, guilty or not guilty. They were more like warlords or like tribal leaders. They're not kings, because we'll see in this book, it pretty much says over and over again, there was no king in Israel. But God uses them, like, again and again to deliver Israel from his enemies. And then pretty much cycle repeats.
Yes.
They get a new judge. He delivers it. Israel.
So let's get the background. The first two chapters of Judges is basically going to give a recap of what happened in Joshua. So Joshua is the history before this. They're taking the promised land. Judges is while they're in the promised land. But the first two chapters, they're going to remind you of that. So the period of the Judges is in between the conquering of the promised land found in Joshua and the rise of the monarchy beginning with the anointing of Saul. So Judges is connecting the gap between 1st and 2nd Samuel, which is when we start to see kings, and Joshua. And Joshua came after Moses, and Moses was affiliated. He pretty much wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. So we're connecting the dots right there. That's what's going on with the book of Judges. This was a period of anarchy marked by periods of repeated refrain. So we are going to notice that there is a cycle that is going to repeat over and over and over again in Judges, and it just keeps getting worse for each judge. There would be a time of order when judges arose, but after their death, there would always be a period of anarchy under the next judge. Again, you're just going to notice that cycle over and over again. The phrase, in those days there was no king in Israel, but every man did that which was right in his own eye, is repeated several times throughout the book, constantly reminding how the Israelites did not look to their true king, God. So the fact there was no king in Israel is the problem. Mm-hmm. Their king should have been God, and they didn't put him as king. They didn't listen to his authority. They didn't treat him as he should have been, their God. So that's the issue that is going to arise throughout what is stemming the problems of Israel. They just keep ignoring God. So about Judges.
Then the book of Judges covers a period of about 300 to 350 years. You can kind of see after every judge it says they ruled for so many years, and so you can count the years that way. It's roughly a time period from 1350 or 1400 BC to 1050 BC.
And that
again, we know 1050 BC because when Saul was anointed, there's records of that. It's believed to have been written. I just said that. It's believed to have been written between 1050 and 1000 BC when they had kings. Yes. So that's why people think Samuel wrote it.
Yeah, it was written after the fact. So it wasn't like someone was just actively writing a pen with Judges. It was written after the fact. Same thing with our history books nowadays.
Yeah.
It's not being written during World War II. It's written after we have all the information.
Okay, so we also see in Judges 1:21 the text mentions Jebusites still living in Jerusalem, which David conquered in 2 Samuel, which is around 1000 BC.
So this is how we're getting the time frame. It's not like this number is just getting thrown out there. There's historical context and there's biblical literature that is showing that it's the time frame it is.
There's a pattern throughout Judges which progressively gets worse and worse. By then we'll see how the Israelites become no different than the Canaanites, pretty much.
Yep.
There's this cycle that goes over and over. The Israelites disobey God, and then God sends an oppressor to oppress them, to punish them. And then Israel cries out to God because of that, and then God sends them a judge to deliver them. And then when they're delivered, they're at peace for so many years, as long as that judge is alive. And then when the judge dies, they fall back into disobeying, and then the cycle repeats itself.
And every time it repeats, you're going to notice, as we get further down the line of Judges, the judges themselves get worse and worse and worse. These first couple of judges, they follow God. There's really not much said bad about them. And then as we get later and later and later, you're like, whoa, that guy was delivering Israel?
Yeah,
yes.
Some of them are not very good people.
Yeah. I'm going to throw a picture on the screen, and that picture is just how Israel looks right now.
This at is the time of Judges,
yes,
not in
at the beginning of Judges. So this is going to change. Yes, not right now. This is going to change throughout the book because they're going to get oppressed. People are going to take back land, and it shouldn't have done that. They should have been able to conquer all of it because God promised them in Joshua that. But again, they didn't listen. They left these people there. They let them live among them. They married them, and that's going to cause a lot of problems.
That's pretty much what we're going to see throughout Judges.
Just continuous disobedience.
Yeah. So
that being said, let's get into Judges chapter 1.
Chapter 1. First couple of chapters are going to be more like recapping the book of Joshua.
Yes. Setting the scene, if you will.
Yes. And then I think the third chapter we'll get into the Judges.
Yes.
So chapter 1, verse 1. Now after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first to fight against them? So we're picking up where the book of Joshua left off. Joshua was the first major wave of taking the promised land. Judges will be the second wave. Yep. We'll see. Israel is asking the Lord who they should send first to fight against the Canaanites. As of where the Israelites are currently, they are following the Lord and independent of having a central human leader. Yes. Joshua at this time was kind of the leader.
Yes.
The Canaanites possessed the promised land before the Israelis. They were made up of several different tribes, among which were the Amorites, Jebusites, Hivites, Girgashites, Perizzites, Philistines, and they were all wicked. Yeah.
Serving pagan gods. Yeah. They were false gods.
And they had done that for hundreds of years. Yes. And so the judgment that God pronounced on them was the Israelites coming in and taking their land from them. So it's not like God just had this on the whim. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we're going to see those tribes throughout the book of Judges. Verse 2, and the Lord said, Judah shall go up. Behold, I have delivered the land into his hand. So the Lord tells them that the tribe of Judah is going to go. Answers their question. The Lord also tells them that he has delivered land into Judah's hand, past tense. The Lord has already guaranteed the victory.
So it's a promise. Same thing with, he told us to Joshua a lot, be strong and courageous, I am before you. Mm-hmm. The victory is already won, so the victory is guaranteed. They just have to go and do it now. Yeah. But it's a guarantee.
And if you skip to chapter 20, verse 18, there's a similar verse where the children ask again who they should send to fight their enemies. And the Lord again tells them to send Judah
And that chapter is completely different in why they should send Judah than this chapter. So stay tuned for that. It gets pretty intense.
The Lord probably sent Judah because of the promise of the tribe found in Genesis 49:8. Judah's a pretty predominant tribe. Yes. I mean, Jesus came from the tribe of Judah. So,
and that actually has to pertain with this verse. In Genesis 49, verse 8, it says, Judah, thou art he whom thy brother shall praise, thy hand shall be the neck of thine enemies, thy father's children shall bow down before thee. So, in verse 9 it even says, Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped up. He couched as a lion, as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? So he's known as a warrior. You know, the tribe of Judah is a strong tribe. It's very strong. And that's why we'll see David come out of him, that tribe, and we'll see Jesus come out of that tribe. It's very strong.
Solomon.
Yes.
Okay, verse 3. And Judah said unto Simon, his brother, come up with me into my lot, that we may fight against the Canaanites, and I likewise will go with thee into thy lot. So Simon went with him. Okay. So Judah asked Simon, the two tribes.
Yes.
The two brothers are really, really dead at this point. It's been hundreds of years since they died. So the tribe of Judah asked the tribe of Simon to help them fight the Canaanites. In return, Judah will help Simon with their battle, as they actually their lands bordered each other. This is also an example to other tribes how they could work together to possess the land. The issue is that Israel wasn't acting. They were acting out of like tribes rather than one nation. You kind of see that a lot. Some tribes just like mind their own business and they're like, I'm not going to mess with anybody. Others, like Judah and Simon, like working together.
Be the same thing as here in America. We have states, but we're one nation. We're United States of America. But sometimes people act like they're at a different state. So which a lot of conflict has come from that. From saying, they should do what we do. It's like, well, hold up. We need to understand that we're one nation. It divides people real quickly. So same thing is kind of happening here. They're a little divided already, as you can tell, and it's going to get worse and worse.
Yeah. So verse 4, and Judah went up, and the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand, and they slew of them in Bezek 10,000 men. So Judah and Simon, they go up, they slay these 10,000 men of the Canaanites and Perizzites in Bezek. Again, you'll notice the credit of the victory is to the Lord, as it should be.
The Lord delivered.
Yep. Verse 5, and they found Adonai Bezek in Bezek, and they fought against him, and they slew the Canaanites and the Perizzites. So Adonai Bezek is the leader of the Canaanites.
Yep. If you look at the name Adonai Bezek, it's named after. He's basically his name is the title of that. Yeah.
Verse 7, and Adonai-Bezek said, 70 kings, having their thumbs and their great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table, as I have done, so God hath required me. And they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. I'm pretty sure I just skipped a verse. Verse 6,
yes.
But Adonai-Bezek fled, and they pursued after him and caught him and cut off his thumbs and his great toes. So you'll see Adonai-Bezek,
he's running.
He fled from the battle, as did a few other kings and judges. They seem to be cowards.
Yes.
But they took him and they cut off his thumbs and big toes. The reason why they did that is, as we see in verse 7, 70 kings had tried to defeat Adonai-Bezek before, but none of them succeeded. Adonai-Bezek actually cut off their thumbs and big toes for doing that. So he's being repaid in kind.
Yeah. Back then it was an eye for an eye. So, the punishment you inflict on people,
punishment for the
expect crime. That, yes.
Adonai-Bezek died in Israel, but the Israelites actually should have heeded God's command in Deuteronomy chapter 7, 1-5. And if they did that, they would have killed him immediately, because that was the judgment God had put on them.
Yeah. So like you said a second ago, before we read these verses, they weren't just, innocent people. They were doing very evil things. And this is God's judgment, was through Israel. In Deuteronomy 7, 1-5, it says, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land, whither thou hast goes to possess it, and hast cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the I can't pronounce them, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. So these people that they're going against right now. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor shew mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriage with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto the son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they would turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall deal with them. You shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. They didn't do this, and you wouldn't guess it, but this comes to pass, where they marry their daughters, and they stop serving God, the real God, and they start serving these false gods. So God is telling them, hey, that's not their land, that's your guys' land. They've done evil, this is judgment. Don't do this stuff. He goes into specifics on why not to do it.
Yeah, he's trying to warn them.
And they don't heed the warning. This is in Deuteronomy. So before
2 books.
Yeah, before these people have even started to take the land like they have, there's a warning, and they just kind of ignore it.
Yeah, so instead of obeying God, they decided to give Adonai-Bezek the same punishment he gave to defeating kings, taking vengeance in their own hands instead of doing what God said to them, which, there's the verse that says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will repay it. So
leave it to God.
It's not up to you to do that. Just do what he told you to do. Verse 8, now the children of Judah had fought against Jerusalem, and had taken it and smitten it with the edge of the sword, and set the city on fire. So we see Judah is claiming Jerusalem. They destroyed a lot of the city, but not completely, as we'll see in verse 21 later. Jerusalem means city of peace. It will later become the capital and where the temple will be built. It's also called the city of palms in other chapters.
Throughout the New Testament, this is a key city. So
it still is in our time. Mm-hmm. Verse 9, and afterward the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites that dwelt in the mountain and in the south and in the valley. So Judah is continuing to push these Canaanites out of their land. Verse 10, and Judah went against the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. Now the name of Hebron before was Kirjath Arba, and they slew Sheshai and Ahiman and Talmai. Hebron is an important city because it's the land where Abraham lived. If you'll, in Genesis 13:8, I think it mentions that.
Genesis 13:18 says, then Abraham, before he got his name changed, then Abram removed his tent and came to dwell in the plain of Mari, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. So again, just kind of showing, it's giving you an idea geographically where this is happening. We're not as in tune with the same names because they've changed names since then. The countries have changed names, but it's just giving an idea, giving more evidence that it is what it is.
It's also known for possibly having giants in the land.
Yes.
You read that in Joshua 14 and 15.
Yes. Joshua 14:15, it says, and the name of Hebron before was Kirjatharba, which Arab was a great man among the Akenims, and that land had rest from war. So the great man among the Akenims, some people translate that as giants. It's again, you got to think of the original language. So when it's translated in English, sometimes it takes away the value of that name or that word. We see that in the book of John, where there's different kinds of loves. Like I think he says agape and what's the other
Phileo.
Philia. Yeah. So the great man there, some people take that as those were giants. So just kind of something to think about.
Yeah. Well, in Numbers, the spies went out. They said there were giants in the land. The 3 names here are also significant because they're all the sons of Anak. Yep. He's found in Joshua 15:14. Yep. They're all direct descendants of the giants Israel feared earlier, talking about the spies.
Yep. And there, Joshua 15:14, it says, and Caleb drove thence the 3 sons of Anak, Shishah, and Ahim, and Ptolemy, the children of Anak. So just again, reassuring, showing that the Bible complements each other.
So verse 11, and from thence he went against the inhabitants of Debir, and the name of Debir before was Kirjath Sepher. They like this Kirjath for some reason. Judah moved on from Hebron, and they continue to push Debir. We can see they're like driving these people throughout the land. And Caleb said, verse 12, and Caleb said, he that smiteth Kirjath Sepher and taketh it, to him will I give Ashash my daughter to wife. So verse 12 to 13 through 15 here is a direct callback to Joshua 15, 16 through 19.
And it's basically like identical, more pretty much. And Caleb said, he that smiteth Kirjath and taketh it to him, will I give Asha my daughter to wife. And again, these verses are basically going to parallel, so I'm not going to read them all. We're about to read them.
Yep.
But direct callback to Joshua right there.
Okay, and about Caleb. Caleb is actually from the tribe of Judah himself.
Yep.
He's a cool dude. He was one of the 12 spies. Him and Joshua were the only 2 spies that said that they could actually take the land. Him and Joshua were the only people of that generation that decided not to go into the promised land that are still alive and actually got to see the promised land. So, he was actually like 80 something when they went into the promised land. So,
very cool.
85, when they took over Hebron. So, verse 13, and Othniel the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, and he gave him Ashash his daughter to wife. Othniel is Ashash's uncle, and he will also become the first judge. So,
yes, important person to kind of take note of right now.
I know we're glancing over that she's he's her uncle. Kind of strange.
Yes. That's just how it is. I mean, it was different back then. Granted, it still wasn't where it should have been in the law.
Yeah, it's kind of strange because they're not from Alabama. But moving on, verse 14. And it came to pass when she came to him that she moved him to ask of her father a field, and she lighted off her donkey. And Caleb said unto her, What wilt thou? So Ashash here is asking Othniel to ask Caleb something on her behalf.
Yep.
Verse 15, and she said unto him, Give me a blessing, for thou hast given me a south land. Give me also springs of water. And Caleb gave her the upper springs and the nether springs. So she asked for more land that have, springs of water on it. That'd be better for like livestock. Mm-hmm. So Caleb, her father, agreed and gave her both the upper and lower springs, giving her pretty much all the springs in that area.
Yeah. Again, they kind of think of generals like they're highly respected. So people are just gonna be like, go for it.
Caleb is like number 2 off from Joshua. Yeah. So Caleb's pretty much the leader of the tribe of Judah. I mean, he's really respected.
Well, without saying he is, it's like I know who's in charge. He's
more like the patriarch of that tribe.
So it's pretty easy for them.
It'd be like your great grandfather or something like that. Everybody respects if you have one.
All right, continue on verse 16. And the children of the Canaanite, Moses' father-in-law, went up out of the city of palm trees, Jerusalem, with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which lieth in the south of Arad, and they went and dwelt among the people. So the people of Canaanites went out of Jericho, city of palm trees. That's what I meant by that. City of palm trees, Jericho. I don't know if you guys heard about the walls falling down there. I'm sure you have. I believe that happened in Numbers, but it's pretty.
It happened to Joshua.
It was Joshua.
It was the first city they conquered when they come into the Promised Land. So,
so I don't know why I keep going to the Brandon Lake song, but about the walls coming down. It's in the Bible, but that's where my head goes.
There's an old children's song about it too, if you're from that generation.
So the reason the Moses father-in-law is pointed out here, it's specifically called to him, is because it's a fulfillment of the promise actually in Numbers chapter 10, verse 29 through 32. And there it says, and Moses says unto Hobah, the son of Ragil, and the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, so he's talking to him, we are journeying unto the place of which the Lord said, I will give it to you. Come thou with us, and we will do thee good. For the Lord hath spoken good concerning Israel. So God told Moses to go. He's like, come with us. And he said to him, I will not go, but I will depart to my own land and to my kindred. So he's saying, no, I'm not going to go. I'm going to stay here. Verse 31, and he said, leave us not, I pray thee, for as much as thou knowest how we are to encamp in the wilderness, thou mayest be to us instead of eyes. And it shall be, if thou go with us, yea, it shall be that what goodness the Lord shall do unto us, the same will be done unto you. So, just showing, hey, come with us. There will be goodness coming with us. And he does join them. So, kind of significant there. It's just showing that God is fulfilling his word. It's not just an empty promise. He fulfills what is being said.
Yep.
Verse 17. And Judah went with Simon his brother, the tribes, and they slew the Canaanites that inhabited Zephthah and utterly destroyed it. And the names of the city was called Horam, whatever that is. Again, sorry for the.
You got it right the first time.
Yeah. This is now Judah going with Simon to fulfill their promise to them in verse 3. So again, like we just talked about earlier in this chapter.
Yep. Helping their brother out.
Yep. Verse 18. And also Judah took Gaza with the coast thereof, and Askelon with the coast thereof, and Ekron with the coast thereof. So Judah takes Gaza, Askelon, Ekron, which is 3 of the major Philistine cities. So these are big cities. These cities controlled coastal powers, trade routes, iron technology, and military pressure points. This would be like the core cities that are supplying the nation.
Yeah, major trade routes, Yeah. And, this is back before they had trains, planes, and automobiles.
Yeah.
So they use like waterways, like rivers, ports to move, supplies and that kind of thing.
So this is a serious attack by them. Verse 19. And the Lord was with Judah, and he drave out the inhabitants of the mountain, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley because they had chariots of iron. So important to know there, Judah was not able at the time to conquer the valley because of the chariots. God's time was not yet, or possibly lack of faith in the tribe of Judah. So this is not God not being able. That's not what it's talking about here. It's either Judah being scared or not having enough faith. It's not specifically said. Joshua 17:18 shows that they could have if God was willing. Let me flip that real quick.
I think, after, in the beginning of Joshua, after they took over Jericho, they disobeyed God, so God didn't allow them to win another battle until they fixed the problem and started obeying him again.
Yeah, with God all things are possible, so nothing was lacking on God's path. In Joshua 17:18 it says, but the mountain shall be thine, for it is a wood, thou shalt cut it down, and the outgoings of it shall be thine, for thou shalt drive out the Canaanites, though they have iron chariots, and though they be strong. So even though they have this stuff, you're going to win. So God promised them they would win.
And, we'll see in a few chapters where they do overcome a force that has iron chariots. So,
yes. Continuing on to verse 20. And they gave Hebron unto Caleb, as Moses said, and he expelled thence the 3 sons of Anak. So the verse is a direct reference to Joshua 15:13 through 14, if you would like to check that out. Fulfilling the promise of Caleb's inheritance, which is found in Joshua 14:9.
It is pretty cool because he charges a city, in front of everybody, and the dude's 85 years old. So,
and the promise there is in Joshua 14:9. It says, and Moses sware on that day, saying, surely the land whereon thy feet have trodden shall be thine inheritance, and thy children's forever, because thou hast wholly followed the Lord my God. So Caleb was a great servant to the Lord. He followed what was told of him, and he was a great general. He had strong faith. The Lord rewarded that, and the inheritance was the land. That was a reward that he
was
had.
A man's man.
Yes, so he did a great job. That being said, verse 21. And the children of Benjamin, the tribe, did not drive out the Jebusites that inherited Jerusalem, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem unto this day. Not good. They didn't do what they were supposed to. This verse shows the time frame when the book of Judges was written, which we talked about in the introduction.
Because it says till this day.
Yep.
So as this guy's the time that's this is being written.
Yep. So we get an idea because we can see when the Jebusites were there.
Yeah.
It also shows how Jerusalem was not fully conquered yet and would still not be until David in 2 Samuel chapter 5. So Jerusalem, again, key city, and the Jebusites that inhabited Jerusalem. That's what's said in this verse. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to fully be driven out until David comes in. David he's a warrior too, so he's going to drive them out fully.
Yep.
The tribe of Benjamin is mentioned here because Jerusalem is on the border of Judah and Benjamin land. So Judah wasn't there at the time. Benjamin was closer. They didn't do what they were supposed to and drive them out. Again, just because it's not on your tribe's land doesn't mean you're not supposed to, as a nation of Israel,
help each other.
Yeah, drive them out. So that's where it's mentioning Benjamin. they failed.
And you'll see the tribe of Benjamin a lot. They don't really do anything for anybody else.
They get very evil at the end of the
Yeah.
book of Judges.
So we've talked about, so far it's talked about Judah and the tribe of Simon a lot. Now we're going to get into some of these other tribes. Let's go down to verse 22. And the house of Joseph, they also went up against Bethel, and the Lord was with them. If you look at the phrase, the house of Joseph, those are the two tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim and Manasseh are Joseph's two sons. The reason why the tribes are split like that is because the tribe of Levi is where the priests are from, so they don't have land, so they just made Joseph's two sons two tribes.
So that's how we still have 12 tribes,
Yeah.
because one of the tribes becomes priest. So they split the Joseph into two tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh.
And verse 23, and the house of Joseph sent to describe Bethel. Now the name of the city before was Luz. So we see that they sent spies to spy on Bethel.
Yep.
They did that with Jericho, if you go read the first part of Joshua. Verse 24, and the spies saw a man come forth out of the city, and they said unto him, show us, we pray thee, the entrance into the city, and we will show thee mercy. So they see this guy leave the city. They go out to him, say, hey, where's the entrance to the city? If you show it to us, we won't kill you.
Sounds like a deal.
And when he showed them, verse 25, and when he showed them the entrance into the city, they smote the city with the edge of the sword, but they let go the man and all his family. So he gave them the information, and they went in and smote the city, but as per their word, they let him and his family go. 26, and the man went into the land of the Hittites and built a city, called the name thereof Luz, which is the name thereof unto this day. So, he goes out to the Hittites' land and builds this city, calls it Luz, probably after the city he just came out of. The tribes failed to utterly destroy the city, and the cause of this was the formation of pagan cities. Paganism wasn't destroyed, it was just shipped off somewhere else.
So the issue there is they compromised what God said by letting this guy go. Now, again, just because he gave intel to them doesn't mean he wasn't.
Well, they didn't have to promise him that they were going to let him go.
So it's not like God was like, kill this innocent man. He was an evil man, and they allowed him to go away as long as they got what they wanted out of it. That's not what God told them to do.
They didn't
go in and destroy.
He didn't tell them to go in and make a deal with someone.
So we're going to notice it gets bigger and bigger conflicts like this, but you can already start to seep in chapter 1 where they're like,
they're making compromises.
Yes, that's an issue.
In verse 27, neither did Manasseh drive out the inhabitants of Bethshean and her towns, nor Tanakh and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Ibleam and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Megiddo and her towns, and the Canaanites would dwell in that land. That was a mouthful. Yep. Manasseh does the same thing, much more broader way. They just let the Canaanites dwell and practice evil among them. They are blatantly disobeying God and following their own way instead.
Yeah, bad. So this is the start of Judges. We're going to see the results of this throughout the book.
Verse 28, and it came to pass when Israel was strong that they put the Canaanites to tribute and did not utterly drive them out. So instead of driving them out, they settle for Canaanites pay them a tribute, which is kind of like a tax.
Yes.
Some think it could have been labor, probably money, more likely money. It's kind of like in the New Testament where they had to pay tribute to Caesar. It was a tax, so that kind of thing.
They're getting basically a use out of them instead of.
Yeah, they're just taking advantage of them.
Yes.
They're being greedy instead of doing what God told them to do. Verse 29, neither did Ephraim, Joseph's other side there, drive out the Canaanites that dwelt in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwelt in Gezer among them. So Ephraim's doing the same thing. Yep. Neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron, nor the inhabitants of Nahalol, but the Canaanites dwelt among them and became tributaries. And I'll just skip down to the next verse. Neither did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Acho, nor the inhabitants of Zidon, nor of Alab, or Agzib, nor of Elba, nor of Aphik, nor of Rehob. So we see there those three tribes, Ephraim, Zebulun, Asher, all did the same thing that Manasseh did. So
it's a big issue that most of the tribes in the nation of Israel are falling short of this.
They're just not doing anything.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, hold up, this is a problem.
God sent them in to do this job, and they just went, oh,
yeah. Most of your nation just like, I'm
nice
I'm
here.
good. Yeah, I'm done.
I just sit down.
Yeah.
So we go to verse 32. But the Asherites dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, for they did not drive them out. So we see there the tribe of Asher doing the same thing. Here, instead of conquering the land, the Asherites just moved in with them. This would later introduce paganism to a portion of Israel during the reign of kings. So we see this.
Yeah, so
it doesn't stop here. It just keeps.
It just gets worse and worse.
Keeps being a problem. Verse 33: Neither did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Bethshemesh, nor the inhabitants of Bethanath, but he dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land. Nevertheless, the inhabitants of Bethshemesh and Bethanath became tributaries unto them. So, as we see, like what Manasseh did and all those other tribes, they make them pay tribute. So we see here at least 5 of the 12 tribes not following what God commanded them to do, which is almost half of them.
Yeah.
Verse 34, and the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountains, for they would not suffer them to come down to the valley. The tribe of Dan got pushed to the mountain. Another showcase of how the tribes abandoned each other and they did not fight as one nation. We see those other 5 tribes didn't really do nothing.
That shouldn't have happened by any means. It's like, imagine one of the states get invaded by a foreign country, and we're just like, like the America as a whole doesn't do anything about it. That's an issue. They should have, as soon as that happened, they should have all united and go help Dan.
But, well, and it's an odd behavior because you see in like the period of time leading up to this, they all act as one people. But when they come into their inherited land and settle down, they just I guess they just don't want any part of each other. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Verse 35, but the Amorites would dwell in Mount Heres, in Ajalon, and Shalbim, yet the hand of the house of Joseph prevailed, so that they became tributaries. So we see there Ephraim and Manasseh did conquer the Amorites after Dan had been pushed out. They make the Amorites pay tribute after this, doing this seemingly out of greed rather than helping Dan.
So they do it after Dan's already out, and then after that they're like, "Oh, sorry, Dan, we're just going to make him pay tribute instead of helping you with your land." It's like, whoa, hold up. That's kind of, greedy, but...
36. And the coast of the Amorites was from the going up to the Akrabim, from the rock and upwards. So the disobedience of Israel, they allowed for the Amorites to have enough power to remain on some of the promised land areas, which, even today they're still fighting over some of that. Akrabim is a mountain pass creating the border of Judah and Edom. The name that name Akrabim means the ascent of scorpions. So you can kind of get a picture of
the idea of why I was named that. Yeah. All right, that was Judges chapter 1. These 2 judges, again, just the first 2 chapters of Judges are setting the scene. So we're just kind of getting an idea. You can already see a lot of the theme of the book of Judges in the first chapter right there. But once we get to the actual Judges, we're going to see a lot more of the fighting. I think what people are drawn to about Judges, we'll see that in the Judges coming.
It's a very if people the people that say the Bible is boring, they've never read books like this.
Oh yeah.
Granted, like the first 2 chapters, it's all history, but once you get past to the Judges, it is not boring. Yeah. Tons of action.
Yeah. Same thing.
Some of it probably not suitable for children.
We're gonna have to warn them about that. Yeah. It's like same thing with a movie. That action scene is so much better when you know what led up to it. So even though 90% of the movie might not be fighting, that last 10% is so great because of the 90%. That's what we're going on here.
So, kind of going over this book just to show you God's Word's not boring.
Oh, and absolutely not. That being said, we're going to see you tomorrow for chapter 2. We'll pray out real quick and do that. I guess I'll start us off with the pattern.
Sure. I read a bunch.
Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us be here today. Lord, please open our hearts and the hearts of the people watching this. Lord, help us to learn and apply your word to our life, Lord, to not abandon you, to not compromise with you, Lord, to fully follow you. Lord, I thank you for letting us do this. Be with us through this project. Be with the audience. Help them to obtain the information and apply it to their lives. Forgive me my sins and the ways I fail you. In Jesus' holy name I pray. Amen. All right, like, subscribe, and see you tomorrow for Judges 2.
Hi, Mom.